Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I'm your host, Jennie Bellinger, your direct sales dom, helping you whip your business into shape. Today, I have with me a new friend who I have met recently. Her name is Dr. Elizabeth Davidson, and she is an educator, foundational health doctor, mom, skier, outdoor enthusiast, and business connector. Dr. Elizabeth is a native Vermonter who boldly adapted her career to changing circumstances. When COVID happened, she was practicing as a family chiropractor, but touching people was suddenly not such a good thing. Around the same time, she had a huge health breakthrough using her dōTERRA products. And after delving into the company, recognized a business opportunity where she could help many more people grow her influence and build a dream team. She's continuing to grow her well-being and her community, all while having lots of fun. So welcome to the show, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Jennie. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm glad you're here. Now, of course, because of the business connector thing, we got to let the audience know we met through BNI. Any of my audience members who've been listening for any amount of time know that I am a huge proponent of BNI. And this is one of the reasons why, because you and I met through BNI.
It's amazing because, yes, I'm in Vermont and you're in St. Louis, but we both have BNI, and I just find it phenomenal that we can meet people all over the world with this organization.
Oh, yeah. It's been great for me. I mean, I have met more members outside of my region in the past 18 months than I probably know in my region. And I know a lot of people in my region, because I've just really taken this opportunity because my business is one that I can do literally anywhere as long as people speak English. So yeah, because I unfortunately speak 2 languages and I don't speak French well enough to coach in it. So in your bio, we introduced the fact that you are a trained, licensed chiropractor and have been doing that for 15 something years, right?
Just about that. Yeah.
Okay. And of course, with COVID, it meant seeing people in person for a while was a little bit difficult and tricky and hard. And so tell us how you transitioned from chiropractor to dōTERRA wellness advocate.
Well, my last day that I had my office open, I went in with the intention of deciding what I should do because COVID, at that point, we had no idea what was going on, but it seemed pretty scary. And I had someone come in whose husband sounded like he had COVID and he'd just gotten back from Las Vegas. She felt fine. So she was in my office and he had a super high fever and exhaustion. And I was like, okay, I think I need to close. And around that same time, suddenly I had all this space in my life and I had these dōTERRA products sitting on my shelf for about 10 months. I was pretty resistant to them because I'd tried essential oils before and I'm really chemically sensitive and they had not been good for me, but I'd never tried dōTERRA before. But I had been struggling with lots of health issues for my entire life, including migraines, fibromyalgia, a whole list of things that we could take the whole podcast going into that. But I felt inspired to start using them. And I did. And within 3 weeks, I was out of pain for the first time in my entire life.
Wow.
And, I was kind of forced out of chiropractic because we weren't allowed to touch anyone. Vermont is very strict and all the chiropractors were shut down for 2 to 3 months. Wow. I am not good at sitting still. Mm-hmm. And 2, I am a single mom with a home, so I need an income. And one of my BNI members actually we were just meeting and talking about how we could, transition through this COVID situation. This point, it's like April, still don't know what's going on, April of 2020. And I mentioned how much better I was feeling since I started using dōTERRA. And she'd been using dōTERRA for longer than I had. She's like, you could do that as a business. And felt a light bulb go off in my head. And I was like, I could. And so, I called my upline person and talked to her about it. And she was right there for me, supporting me every step of the way to get started, and just seemed like an easy flow, having such a powerful story. And also, being a beginner with essential oils, it was kind of neat to start talking to other people about essential oils because there was so much discovery that we did together. And I always love learning, and there was so much to learn. There still is so much to learn a year and a half later. And it just wound up being a really fun thing that I can do from anywhere as long as people speak English like you.
Right.
So before, as a chiropractor, I always kind of felt limited because I could only help the people who could get to me, that I could touch. And I've always had a bigger vision for helping people around the world. And dōTERRA allows me to do that in a couple ways. I mean, one, just having clients. Now I have clients all over the country, not quite all over the world yet, but working on that. But also dōTERRA has a huge global mission. Its number one goal is ending human trafficking. And they have tons of projects all over the world to really put that into motion between their Healing Hands Foundation and their co-impact sourcing. Those things just really spoke a lot to me. And I was like, oh, I can do this. I can help a lot of people within a community, which I'd never had before because I was always solo as a chiropractor, and help people all over the world just by being a part of this company and helping it grow. So there were many factors to influence my decision to do this. And it's been an amazing journey. I never thought I would give up chiropractic. When you get a doctorate, like, oh, this is what I am, this is what I do. But shifting it into a way that I can help more people and have more fun and more freedom, it's been amazing. So that's my little story of transition.
That's awesome. And so now that things have kind of started opening back up, because we're recording this in very late 2021, are you back to practicing in person again? So are you co-building these businesses together, or are you 100% in on the dōTERRA now?
100% dōTERRA.
Okay.
Like I said, those limiting things with chiropractic didn't feel right to go back to that. With dōTERRA, I have more freedom for myself, both time-wise and financially. I can help more people, and it just doesn't make sense to be tied to an office again.
Right.
So I'm loving the freedom and building something with a community, which I've really found is my mission in life right now, is to build a community around well-being. And being a doctor and having a practice like that, everything's very, private because of HIPAA. Like, you can't share information with people. You can't really, hang out with your clients or introduce them or anything. But
right.
I can build a community. Last night we had a community event for making holiday gifts with essential oils.
Oh, fun.
Made some snacks and had a few people over, and we made ornaments and bath salts. And so we're really building a community here around some well-being, which lights me up.
That is so cool. And I think that's a really important thing to know about the way that you're doing your business, because sometimes what can hold people back from doing a direct sales or network marketing business is because they think it's all about the sales. And that's scary to somebody who maybe has never been in a sales position before, but to think about it as a community builder that just happens to have a product that supports the community in that way. So like you just said, having a little holiday gift creation event, it's a community builder. And I bet there were people who came together who maybe didn't know each other and left with new friends, right?
Yeah, it's been interesting. We had a similar event last month. We called it Oils Giving, and some of the connections were made have certainly gone a lot further than that, like personal and business connections. And one of the people who was there last month couldn't come this time. And another person who came both times was like, well, where is she? I want to see her. But also talked about the people that they'd connected with each other and how they'd grown each other's businesses just by meeting over some snacks with oils in them and and having some fun social time. And so, yeah, it's always about building the connections and building the community.
Absolutely. And I, I think that's a great business tip, for yourself is knowing, and that's something that I would think is probably growing as you grow your team, is to focus on that community aspect. Is that how you've been doing that in building your team since you've been doing this for 18 months now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, back to the BNI connection, that has been such a strong community for me, and especially through all of this COVID stuff, been my most supportive community. And so I've really gotten a feel for how much that can mean to people, especially as someone who's had a lot of alone time in her life. Like, knowing that I have people is really important. And with COVID and the isolation that's happened, making sure that there is an accessible community, it's just been, people have been so grateful for it. And I have been so grateful for it. I don't know how I would have gotten through this without this community building aspect. Of course, a lot of last year we did it on Zoom. It's great to have a little more freedom to do things in person and have some hands-on stuff and share food and all of that again. So
no, that's really good to hear. And so in your 18 months now, what would you say is something that you've been able to achieve in your business that you are really proud of?
Oh, wow. So many things. I guess my favorite part really is supporting other people and becoming leaders in the business. So that's been really exciting. And I actually just reached a whole new level in the dōTERRA business on Tuesday. So
awesome. What'd you hit?
I hit the rank of silver, which is the first of the leadership ranks, which really, I didn't quite realize how much it meant until I was talking with one of the top leaders in dōTERRA last night. And yeah, it means that you're really recognized as a leader within the dōTERRA community. And it's certainly been I don't know, I have so many favorite aspects of it, but I love that part about getting to lead other people to help more people and build their own communities and have some financial success. So that's been the evolution of my business, especially the past few months, is finding those right people.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that. Because you're right. I mean, I've done quite a bit of work with some people in dōTERRA, and that is a big rank and a big first step in the leadership direction. So congratulations. How exciting.
Yeah.
Very cool. So knowing that and where you are right now in your business, where are you looking to grow into with it as you continue doing this?
Oh, I mean, continuing on the same path, helping more people build their leadership skills and build their communities. And, as I help them grow, they help me grow. It's one of the things I love about this business is like, it's all about helping each other. There's no competition really. Like my upline person, she and I are pretty close, and she helped me so much with making my rank this month, but it also, of course, helps her too. And so I just love that we can all help each other because, I want to go as far as I can with this company, which there's really no limit to the ranking potential, the income potential, the number of people that you can help. I was at the dōTERRA annual convention in September. And one of the things that really struck me was one of the founders of dōTERRA said that dōTERRA is the company that's getting the most people out of debt in the world.
Wow.
And that I get to be a part of that and help people do that is really exciting because, I mean, who doesn't want more time freedom and more financial freedom?
Yeah.
And more freedom, like to not have fibromyalgia anymore and to help people get through stuff like that. Like I have a whole new life, and to be able to gain community and money and help lots of people through that. Like, wow.
Right. It's a win-win-win, right? It's healthier life, wealthier life. It sounds absolutely amazing. So as you're going through all of this, what are some struggles or obstacles? Because we want to make sure that we're also being real, because every one of us has, had our ups and downs in our business. What would you say? I mean, obviously global pandemic is probably a down. So what are some other obstacles that you have dealt with or that you are currently dealing with in your business?
We mentioned the global pandemic, and I started this business during that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the struggles was that nobody really knew how. So I kind of had to make it up as I went along. But, I'm creative and can do that sort of thing. So I'm still making it up as I go along. I guess one of the struggles has been just helping people recognize the potential of the business and their potential as business people. So, and I feel like I'm really good at seeing people's potential. It's something I've been doing my whole life with my various careers, and helping them recognize that is not always the easiest thing. So many people don't think very much of themselves, and I love helping them shift that, but it's still not easy. So.
Right. And, I would agree with you. Just in the coaching space and in working with people like I have for the past 5 years now, almost, I think people are scared to walk that line of confidence and cockiness. And the fear of appearing cocky is what holds them back. And I think that keeps them from seeing and really wanting to put out there the awesomeness that they have. But I think too, one thing I have to share with you is I've recently gotten certified in a particular area called Deeper Than Disc. And one of the things that has come up consistently with everyone that I've assessed since mid 2021 is that everyone I've assessed, and this includes me, I've taken the assessment myself and my coach has gone through it with me, and every single person undervalues what makes them special.
Wow.
Every single person. There hasn't been one yet who sees it, gets it, puts it out there. And I've got pretty good self-esteem and all that. And I still evidently am not totally valuing what makes me special. Cause I was like, really? I'm not? That kind of scares me, imagine what I could accomplish if, right? So.
Wow. That's amazing that it's every single person.
Every single person. And so it doesn't shock me that you say that, it's really easy, I think, for those of us who are on the outside looking in on the people that are in our lives to see what makes them special. And then when we share it with them, they, oh, it's nothing. Oh, whatever. I think there's so many more things we can do to help build people up and build ourselves up. And it starts with just learning how to accept a compliment and accept what people say and see about you when it's good. We're so quick and easy to accept when somebody says something negative, right?
For sure. I guess maybe that's one of the reasons I've always loved working with kids. Like I was an elementary school teacher and then a family chiropractor with a specialty in pregnancy and pediatrics. And I still love working with kids with the oils, just to, try to nip that in the bud and help them be confident in themselves and never lose that. Because I feel like little kids, they don't have that. And then they they lose their confidence in themselves at some point and have that self-deprecating thing start. And I don't want that to happen for kids. Like, we should keep that joy in ourselves and keep that confidence. So I find the oils are really helpful for that, actually, like giving a kid an oil that whenever they feel that way, they can just put it on them and it reminds them that they're awesome.
Nice. I like that. Now I got to ask the question, with every kid, is it the same oil, or do you guys all find a special oil for each kid that is the one that makes them feel awesome?
Well, all of the oils have an emotional component, but they're all different too. But there are some blends that are specifically designed for that. Like, actually, the blend I'm diffusing right now is one of the kids' blends that's called Stronger. And it's one of my favorite blends. But yeah, it's called Stronger, and that's what it's there for. And one of my other favorites is a kid's blend also called Brave. And
Aww.
those two, Stronger and Brave, I feel like can accomplish a lot. But I love sitting down, like just sit on the floor with some kids and let them explore the oils for themselves. Like, I remember doing a consult with these two brothers that were 10 and 12. And one of them, his favorite oil, I think the Clary Calm, and which is like the hormonal blend for women. And then the other one's favorite oil was Beautiful.
Aw.
What is it? The Enchanting Blend or something?
That's so cool.
It's always interesting to see what the kids are drawn to and then what they notice, because kids are so sensitive, and I love like watching them smell something and you're like, well, what did you notice when you smelled that? How did you feel? And just listening and seeing how that changes things for them. They're so much more open still.
Ah, so true. Oh my gosh. And what came up for me as you were talking about these kids blends is, imagine if we called them women's blends, Stronger and Brave. Like, I feel like it could totally translate over and no one would bat an eye and be like, yeah, that's totally a women's blend. I'm stronger. I'm brave, like, I love that idea. So no, and I would definitely agree, because I've been an oils user. My listeners know I've been an oils user for a while. And what's interesting is I got my kids involved in it pretty early on, because it was something that I noticed was helping my youngest one, who's always struggled with getting to sleep. She's super ADD like me. And so transition between wakefulness and sleepiness, and then again in the morning from sleepiness to waking up, is always difficult for an ADD brain. And oils have been a big help for her with that, helping, so we start diffusing, some of our favorites, at a particular time at night. And it's just conditioning her into, it calms her down, it gets her ready, it helps her fall asleep better, helps her stay asleep longer, and then in the morning, if we want to, if we need a little bit of breathe and just wakey, right? So, and she's the one who will come and ask for those things, which, I mean, you're so right. The kids are so open to that and they remember, they're like, oh, my little one can still, for years now, if her stomach is upset, she comes to me with, hey, mommy, I need that tummy oil. She calls it the tummy oil, even though she knows the name of it. She still calls it tummy oil. It's the Davidson, and she's like, I just need a little bit of a Davidson, please, mom. Okay. So, do a little bit of that and she's cool. Like she gets it. So you're totally right. The kids get that. And so I'm glad that you found that is an area that is a strength for you, is still continuing to work with kids and families, even in your oils business.
Yeah. I would never want to stop that.
No, absolutely. No, it's so cool. So, where do you see your business going next? What are you looking to grow into? Do you have what specific goals do you have? What's next on the horizon for Dr. Elizabeth?
Well, finding my next business partners and really nurturing them. So that's what's really up for me right now. And yeah, that's the big thing. I have a few other things that are percolating, including a potential podcast. And
woohoo!
Yeah. So lots of ideas, but that's the main thing right now. Like, it's been so fun to find those couple people who are getting really into it And I just love seeing that, seeing the light that shines. So I want more of that, more of those people who want to grow a business with me, because it's great.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree. I mean, it's the great opportunity to really do that personal development piece and help others. I mean, obviously in your case, it's really, you've made the focus not on you and your own business, but actually on those who are with you and helping them build and grow. And like you said, it's the Zig Ziglar: help enough other people get what they want and you'll get what you want. So I think that's really, really cool that that's the direction that you're headed.
Yeah. And of course that comes right back to BNI, because givers gain, right?
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. There's a reason why all of those gurus like have very similar, quotes and mindsets, is because they're there. Dr. Meisner gets it. Givers gain. Let me help you build your business, and in return, it will grow my business, right? It may not be a direct correlation, but it will come back to me, when I can give to others. So really, really cool, Dr. Elizabeth. So is there anything else that you'd like to share about your business, your experience? Oh, wait, I've got to ask you the one question that I ask everybody.
Okay.
What is the secret to your direct sales success?
Well, I don't know if it's a secret, but really that compassion and listening, and not being attached to the outcome, really just wanting to build well-being and build community, and not being attached to the outcome, just as long as I make a good connection.
Oh, love that. Because part of the reason people don't want to get into sales is because they're attached to the outcome.
Yeah.
As soon as you can let go of that and just say, you know what can I do to help you? How can I help you with your well-being? How can I help you with your wealth being? How can I help you? How can I help you? Right. Being focused on the other person instead of yourself really does help shift that. And that's awesome. I love that. Thank you for sharing your secret. You're right. And it doesn't matter if it's a quote unquote secret, I'm putting air quotes around that, because really, sometimes we need to hear these things again and be like, oh yeah, I knew that, or I've heard that before. I needed to hear it again, because frankly, I'm a big believer in whoever is listening, to the person who is listening to this right now, you're hearing this for a reason. You were needing to hear something in this conversation, whether it's the not being attached to the outcome, or helping other people and making your business community focused. Maybe that's what you need to hear. Or maybe you're here to hear it because you needed to connect with Dr. Elizabeth. Who knows what that is? But because there's something you are asking the universe for, and the universe is providing it through this podcast. So I'm really glad to be that conduit here for the listeners, and for you, Dr. Elizabeth, as well. So, well, I want to thank you for being here and sharing your experience, because, I'm starting to open up the podcast to people, because it used to be I would only interview people who had 5 years or more in business. And I was like, you know what? There are people who are doing really well in business who are doing it in less than 5 years. And we got to be able to share these different levels of experience. So thank you for being one of the first people who's coming on with less than 5 years of experience, because you're 100% in. So that's a big deal. So thank you for being here.
Wow. Well, thank you for inviting me. I didn't even know that part. So,
oh yeah. Well, and when I first started the podcast, the reason that I was going towards that is because there was this statistic put out by the Federal Trade Commission that said that 90% of people who get into network marketing or direct sales are out of the business in 5 years or less. So when I first started the podcast, my goal was to try and interview as many people who'd been in for 5 years or more, those 10%ers, so that they could share their knowledge and experience and their obstacles, their accomplishments, and be able to share that secret to success that kept them in for 5 years or longer. And recently I came to the epiphany of, you know what? I need to be having people on who are still killing it in business, even if it hasn't been 5 years, because you guys have knowledge and experience to share with others as well. So I really thank you for being part of that. So that's awesome to be able to have you here. So Dr. Elizabeth, I thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you. Can I add one more thing?
Oh, please do. Yes.
So I was on like a team call the other day for dōTERRA people, and the woman who was being interviewed had just reached the level of blue diamond, which is like high up there in the dōTERRA thing.
Okay.
And she said that it was so much harder to get to silver, which is the first leadership rank, than it was to blue diamond, which is like 4 or 5 ranks above that. Because it's all about building that foundation and finding your people and making the connections. And so if you don't give it at least 5 years, then you probably just didn't give it enough time.
Right.
Like sometimes people do it more quickly than that. And that's great. You know, they have a special talent for whatever that is. That's their path. But giving up, you don't get anywhere if you just give up. And so it was just interesting to me to hear that it was harder to do that first little bit than to get to that high level. So,
well, and to me, it kind of makes sense, but that's given the fact that I've got now 10 years of industry experience with all of this. It makes sense to me that that's the case, because in those first few years, you are learning so much and you are falling flat on your face so much that to get back up and keep going, that could be the hardest part, because it all feels like a learning curve. And then eventually, once you get to a certain place of leadership and a certain place of growth, it seems like it starts taking up and doing it itself. You know, all of it begins to feel second nature. So it makes sense to me that the higher up you get, the easier it gets, because it becomes and feels like second nature. Whereas right now, anybody who's not hit silver yet or just hit silver, they're still in a learning curve. They're still trying to figure all this stuff out. So that makes sense, though. I really like that she shared that.
Yeah. So they've done the hard stuff when they're there. And like, not that it's not going to be challenging to get further. Of course, there's hard work, but you've done so much of the hard stuff. So I guess that's my other pearl, is just don't give up.
Yeah. Seriously. The only way to truly fail in direct sales and network marketing is to quit, right? Because you don't lose anything necessarily by staying in the business and still continuing to learn and grow. Even if you don't do a ton of sales, even if you don't hit blue diamond or gold or silver or whatever the ranks may be in somebody's company who's listening. Because in the end, as long as you come out of the whole experience as a better person, a better human being, somebody who has learned some lessons about people, about business, about growth, that's what's, I think, is important. So that's really cool. So, well, thanks again, Dr. Elizabeth. I so appreciate your time and your expertise and your experience sharing this here with everybody, because I think your experience is one that, you know, other chiropractors are probably going to feel very drawn to, because they get it too. I know the chiropractors in my area were closed for months and months last year as well. So to be able to see that this was a way that you've been able to balance your business and actually make a full transition is super cool. So I wish you all of the luck. And as you continue to build and grow, I would love to have you back on the show to share your experiences as you continue to go and hit those next levels. And I'm sure that the audience is going to want to follow your story too.
Cool. That would be really fun. I'd love to.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, listener, for being here and listening in on this little journey here with Dr. Elizabeth. And stay tuned, because you guys know how this goes. Stay tuned. There's another badass episode on its way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast, so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.